I'm a big fan of my next guest. She's a very talented singer and songwriter from the UK. It is Luvcat.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We are fresh off of your Los Angeles debut. You did New York and LA last night.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
It's been very surreal. Last night in particular because of the venue where we were at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Obviously just walking around before it, visiting David Lynch's grave, and it's so serene there and, you know, so eerie and beautiful. And then to play a show in this Masonic Lodge with all the chandeliers, and just to see I was looking out of the window, all the fans lining up on the lawn in all like these beautiful gothic outfits, and yeah, it was a beautiful day.
Do you gravitate to those type of environments, that type of atmosphere? People refer to it as goth, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did feel strangely at home there. I saw a very sweet goth couple having a picnic at David Lynch's grave, which I thought was very cute. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It was serene. It felt like a celebration of life in there. It wasn't morbid. And yeah, I grew up with a lot of emo culture where, you know, some of my favorite music videos were shot in cemeteries and graveyards and churches. So
did that inspire you to go and hang out at cemeteries, play hide and seek and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely was a gothy kid.
Where would you hang out?
My local church and the churchyard. I just love anything old, you know, all the old stone graveyards, gravestones, with the big weeping angels. I definitely want one of those for mine.
We hear a lot of that in your music. What was really interesting to me personally is that we have a mutual friend.
Really?
Tor Miller opened up for you.
Oh, okay, you know Tor.
We've been supporting Tor for ages.
It's crazy, but I was 16, maybe a bit younger, and I got booked for this show in Manchester. I'm from Liverpool, but Manchester's just next door. And it was this student venue, and I opened the show. He was amazing. I was kind of in awe of him because he was this like dashing, handsome, American, amazing musician. And I always remembered his music and like played it, you know, as time went on. And then a few months ago, I had a message on my Luvcat page, which obviously isn't the name I was performing under at the time. And it was from Tor saying, "Oh, I love your music." And I was like, I actually kind of know you. You know, we've met before very briefly. And it was nice to reconnect and him be a fan of what I'm doing now. And then it was nice to have him open for the shows in New York and LA.
It must be a trip because when you opened for him, you were performing under your name.
Yes.
And also performing different kinds of music as well, right?
Yeah. I was performing very much more singer-songwriter, folk music, playing piano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were younger, you're still trying to figure yourself out, but there's a few songs that I recognize hints of what you're doing today, like Hey Annie, for example.
Yeah.
That definitely gave a little impression of, okay, this is something that you could really explore and expand upon. Were there seeds of what you're doing as Luvcat now?
Yeah, it's all fed into it. I mean, I grew up in a household that's ranged from like The Cure to the Rat Pack, and then I discovered, or I really got into a lot of Irish folk music as a teenager, and then that really influenced my early endeavors. I was in like rock and roll bands as a teen in school, and then when I left, I started busking on the street and playing in the pubs around where I lived. So I was playing with a fiddle player, and it was very rootsy. So yeah, I've got Irish blood because I'm from Liverpool, and that's just a thing. And I guess it fed into what I was doing, and it's still in there now in some ways, I guess.
What did busking teach you? Because that's something that really hardens you, you know?
Well, I started busking in November and it was freezing, and I had to wear fingerless gloves and my fingers were just blue. So it was quite a difficult month to begin, but as soon as I made like 35 quid in an hour, I was like, this is cool. And my dad always taught me when I was a kid, like if you play an instrument, you'll never go hungry. So I kind of always had that, if I need a bit of cash, I'll just go on the street. So I did that, and I'd met some really cool people, and we'd sing together and, you know, hang out. But it was not easy, especially being a girl. I feel like I did get a fair bit of stick, you know, there'd be scary men coming over a lot, and then members of the public would come and save me. And like someone showed up once with a pizza because he was like, I was playing, basically I had to busk with a guitar because I couldn't carry my keyboard, it was too heavy, and I couldn't play guitar. I knew 6 songs, so I would loop the 6 songs like 5 times. And then like shop owners would come out and be like, we've heard Jolene 7 times today. Can you just hook off? Do you know what I mean? So
So they gave you the pizza to leave?
Well, no, the pizza came because someone in the public came over and was like, I felt really bad for you. You know, you're getting so much from the shop owners, so here's some pizza.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They didn't appreciate you, what you were doing. Were you helping drive business? I would think that would help drive business too there.
I mean, I think busking is a fundamental part of any like city. It's, you know, it's a beautiful thing to walk down the high street and hear music.
Yeah. So
I think it's really sad when there's restrictions and there's, you know, police come over and try and move you on. I mean, it was some of the most informative years of my life because it taught me to toughen up. You know, playing on the street is not an easy thing.
That's why I'm curious about it, because everybody has their own stories about busking.
Yeah.
And especially as a woman, as a female, as a non-binary person, it could be very, very difficult. And it could also discourage you from not chasing that dream.
It did, and I eventually stopped because of what I experienced, which was sad, but it's just the way things go. Yeah, I did stop because I just had a really bad experience, and I was like, that's enough for that for now. And because it's different if I was with a man, if I was playing with a male friend, it wouldn't happen. So I just got bored because I wanted my freedom. I wanted to be able to do it on my own and have my independence, and it got to a point where I wasn't safe. So I packed it in, but then it led me to other things. So whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
We move.
Clearly, your sound has changed over the course of time, but things started at church. Did you have an inkling of pursuing this professionally?
I mean, yeah, it started way before the carol school concerts. It was like since I could speak, I was singing in the car and performing, dressing up as Annie and singing tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, I was going around with a mop around the house pretending to be, you know, from the orphanage. So I always was just putting on shows. My family was a very fearless kid. Kind of got a bit more fearful as I got older, and I've spent my whole, you know, womanhood so far trying to get back to that fearless kid, because that was where the fun was.
Isn't that interesting how we lose that confidence over the course of time as we age and whatnot?
Yeah, I definitely feel I feel as close to her, like little Luvcat, as I am now. You know, I feel like I'm getting there.
Did listening to Robert Smith of The Cure, and you referenced some of the modern rock, the Smiths,
yes,
the 80s and things like that, did that provide solace in terms of being relatable in your personality?
Yeah, I grew up with, you know, watching Cure music videos more so, and obviously listening to them in the car with my dad, but it was, the visual world was such an escape, and it was spooky and romantic and dark, and that really just made me feel like I belonged to some strange cult, which I loved. I
think that's what a lot of people really relate to with that band's music.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how Morrissey still has the fan base that he does today, where people will go up on stage, hug him, try to, you know, do.
My dad actually bought me Morrissey was the reason for like my songwriting beginnings, I guess. My dad bought me a black notebook because he read in an interview that Morrissey always had a black and red notebook by the side of his bed in case inspiration hit in the evening. And so my dad bought me this notebook, and that's when I first wrote. I think the first page it says, "Hi, I'm Sophie and I'm 7 years old, and my dad just bought me this notebook to be like Morrissey. Here we go."
Wow.
And then I just carried on, always notebooks after notebooks would be full of lyrics and poems and words. Just I fell in love with words as a kid.
How would you describe your personality with regards to an introvert or extrovert? Or I think there's so many different combinations. I'm an introverted extrovert, an extroverted introvert.
Yeah. I'd say introverted extrovert, maybe. I'm definitely like outgoing and love putting on a show. I think that's what I was born to do, but I'm also a bit shy as well. Like it took me 20 something years to do a karaoke song.
Are you serious? Yeah. The ham that was doing songs in her bedroom in front of her family didn't do karaoke until she was in her 20s.
Well, I think karaoke is not fun when you're trying to be a serious singer. It needs to be like,
really?
It needs to be funny. So I was always like, I don't want to take it seriously and it not be fun, you know. So I didn't do karaoke for a long time, and now I just sing Carly Simon, Nobody Does It Better, and that's my staple. That's
your staple. But what's that's your go-to karaoke song?
Yeah.
But when you were first doing it, what were the funny songs that you were doing? Like,
probably just, well, they're not funny. They're not even, I would never say they're a guilty pleasure, but ABBA, Forever, you know, Bring the House Down with ABBA.
UK artists have such a unique taste in ABBA music, because when I speak to European artists, they pick all these songs that weren't necessarily big hits in America.
I just think ABBA were, regardless of how you like the package that they were delivered in, you know, the outfits or the production, they were fundamentally unbelievable songwriters and beautiful chords and melodies. And, you know, my dad would be like so cross with me because he's just like, turn that off, ABBA. He's a rock and roll, you know, he's a punk.
Right.
But I think, you know, fundamentally they've got amazing melodies and it's very beautiful. But I mean, like the first song I ever played in public, like sang in public, was an Evanescence song when I was 7.
Wow.
So I think I always just gravitated towards like gothic music, even from being a kid, and I don't know why. But
was it Bring Me to Life?
No, it was My Immortal.
Okay, I was going to say that's the other one.
Yeah.
Did you dress up in the black makeup?
I was in school, so I was put
you were 7 years old, right?
Put on my school uniform, and I was playing piano, and I was like, yeah, everyone, I think all my teachers were like, what?
In the meantime, your dad's there smiling and proud.
Absolutely.
Did he want to be a musician as well? Seems like he was very instrumental in helping you push this along.
He did. I mean, he grew up really poor, and I couldn't afford lessons or instruments, so he just played football in the street and became like went down that route instead. But he's been obsessed with music since I was a kid, and well, for all his life. But he was definitely the reason why I listen to what I listen to, because he always made me tune in, like, to the words, like listen to what they're saying. This line's really cool, and yeah. He says he'd love to be a bass player if he could go back.
Artists are always changing and evolving, just as humans do. And we've said that you have been grinding away for 10 years now. Mm-hmm. So working your way as an acoustic singer-songwriter and grinding and evolving and changing, where was that moment of, I'm going to get a band together, I'm going to do something that's a little bit more theatrical?
Yeah, well, I knew that I wanted a new name. I just wanted fun, and I wanted to spice things up. And I was stood in the kitchen with my friend, very good friend Archie, who has written He's My Man with me and many other songs. We've been friends for many years. And I was throwing ideas around, and as soon as I said Luvcat, because I obviously love The Cure, he just looked at me and was like, that's it. And everything made sense after that. And then we went to Paris, the two of us, and played our first little show on a riverboat on the Seine. And then we did a few more shows. We went to like Champagne, another district in Paris, and played a little outdoor set there. And then we came back and we played in Montmartre in like this tiny bar, and he ended up standing on a table and it got raucous. It was like the coolest weekend ever. And I went back to London and put a band together, and then we played our first show a couple of months later. And then it all just went wild from there. We just started posting videos from the pub.
What about the visual aspect of things? Because your look, the way you present yourself is very different as well. Mm-hmm. And I can imagine that playing on a riverboat harkens back to the old school days. I don't know, 1800s, 1900s.
Oh yeah.
And things.
Well, this riverboat was quite small, wooden, and it had like an old honky-tonk, like kind of Tom Waitsy piano in the corner. And yeah, it was just strange to like be on stage and look out of the little tiny window and see the river. It was such a cool experience. And Paris is like such a, it's such an inspiration on on a lot of the music I've written. A lot of the characters that have informed some of the songs have been that I've met in Paris. So it was nice to begin the journey there, and I hope we get to go back. And
it was somewhat similar in terms of the presentation of aesthetics and
it was
wardrobe?
It was the same. As always, I just found a dress last minute, put on some red lipstick and fishnet tights and a pair of high heels, and the boys in suits, and then we're good to go.
Wow, that was 7-year-old Luvcat coming back and emerging.
Absolutely, yeah. I was dying to live my blondie dreams and have like 4 handsome men in black suits and me in a little dress.
Right. This project as Luvcat is just fabulous, obviously, and people have taken to it. And now with new music, Lipstick, which you just released.
Yeah, it literally came out today.
Yeah,
so
at the time of this filming.
Yeah, the time of
When was that recorded and written?
It was written about 6 months ago, I think, with a couple of my mates that were playing, in the band. And as soon as we wrote it, I just thought, this is badass, this is a vibe. And I instantly knew what I wanted to do for the video as well, which is a big thing for me. That side of my world, I always want to make kooky videos. So yeah, it happened pretty quickly, and then we started playing it live, opening the show with it, and we've been making an album, and that is one of the most recent songs. We just finished the last piece of the puzzle on the album, which is kind of like sums up the whole record. It's got voice notes, clippings of all of the characters and lovers that have inspired the songs, and all the other members of crew, like our tour manager. We got our van towed away in Berlin, and we woke up to it being gone with all the gear inside it, and someone somehow recorded our tour manager's reaction to that, being like, the van is gone. And so that even is on, it's a part of the record, because I wanted to capture the absolute chaos that has been the past couple of years of my life, and it's been a wild ride and magic and beautiful and a fever dream. And I think the album reflects that.
How do you think 7-year-old Luvcat would view you today?
Do you know what? I think she'd be like, finally, you did it, finally. Because at 7 I thought, at 16, because I loved Avril. I loved Avril Lavigne, and she was 16 when her first record came out. So that was my parameter, that was my goal.
Yeah.
So when it come to when I hit 18 and I was like, wait, where's your album? So I think I'd put a lot of pressure on myself as a kid, because I just wanted this immediacy. And really the industry's different now, and I get it, I wasn't ready either, and I needed to just go out and experience a lot of chaos to be able to document it and write home. And I'm really glad it took me a little bit longer, because I'm stronger for it. And yeah, I think 7-year-old me would be really, really buzzing about it. I'm proud. But yeah, I think she would have probably been losing patience.
She'd be all like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Yeah. So great to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate the time, and best of luck with everything. Look forward to the album and whatnot.
Thank you so much.
Luvcat, right here on B-Sides.